Welcome everybody to the National Counties Cricket Show, and it's an absolute pleasure this week to have joining me someone who's been, I'm going to say it openly, really big supporter of what we've done, and I'm a great big supporter of what these guys have done as well. Got Matt Dando-Thompson, coach from Cricket Wales, but more importantly, the leading run scorer, I think, for Devon this year in the championship with 350s and 100. Doing all right, mate.
Yeah, I was just saying to you offline, mate. I've actually remembered how to put a few runs on the board this year, which is better late than never. But yeah, all good.
Yeah, and they've been important runs as well. I mean, the run that Devon have had so far in the championship, the division's been one of draw, 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 draw. But that one win over your arch rivals is the one that counts, isn't it? It puts you at the top of the table.
Yeah, we were saying as a group, I think it was last week at Hereford. This season feels like it's gone really similar to a couple of years ago when we won the Western. I think where it was similar order of games, Berkshire away first up, and it kind of followed that similar
Hmm.
draw, a couple of draws to kick us off, and it's such a tight division as we know. Whether you're Div One or Div Two, that 4 games is not a lot to um, put a run together, and equally if you can just hang on in there and be the one that kind of gets a win on the board first, which we've managed to do. You put yourself in a decent spot, which we are. So it's not done yet. I think there's 3 teams that can still win it on Sunday. But it's probably in our hands more than anyone else's at the moment.
It is, yeah. And I've described it as it's winner takes all between you and Oxfordshire on Sunday. If there's a win, those guys go to the championship final without a shadow. But you've also got Cornwall could do you a favour against Herefordshire. That could, even if that game's a draw, that helps you along the way, doesn't it? So there's lots of permutations considering, as you say, there's only 5 teams in the group, but anything could happen.
Yeah, and look, I suppose even in 4 games, that the table doesn't lie, does it? If you finish top, you more or less, more often than not, you probably deserve to be there. If you finish bottom, that you've stuffed up somewhere along the way where you probably deserve to be near the bottom. So we're glad we're not in a position where I think it was Cheshire a couple of years ago. I think we were in kind of either round 3 or round 4, and nobody had won a game, and it was kind of you could either win and win the division or lose and you get relegated, which
Yeah.
seemed really harsh on everybody. But yeah, we've done enough to obviously, there's no pressure on us from a going down perspective. I think with the games that are going on this weekend. But yeah, look, having had the momentum and having worked hard to get into this position, it would be, yeah, it'd be a real shame if we didn't see it through.
Yeah, you started off the championship, you say, with that draw over at Berkshire, and you know, there's no ways to put it otherwise than that they've been the powerhouse in the NCCA for the past number of years, and to have to play them first game up, you've got to go in there with the attitude that it's to a certain extent it's a free hit, isn't it?
We probably didn't approach it like a free hit. I'll be honest. I
Mhm.
think if you go in there thinking that, you probably don't come away with anything. I mean, look, they would probably, by their own admission, say that their side looks a little bit different, certainly in the red ball stuff, than it has done, and that's every county goes through that phase of kind of blooding the next generation, and it looks like they're doing that at the moment. But the fact that they've been able to be as competitive as they have been shows, clearly the depth and quality that they have. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think we're probably looking more at ourselves. That game. I think we had a real seamer crisis.
Mhm.
We have a number of injuries, number of lads unavailable. So I think the more pleasing thing for us, and it's kind of stayed with us throughout this comp, really, is we've discovered a few lads in our own house in the Devon League who have not really had much exposure to national counties cricket before, and they've actually stepped up and they've really, really put a shift in. So George Greenway, for example, we were just talking off air about the DPL, weren't we? But
Yeah.
George has had some experience with England Deaf. Craig Pemberley Hutchins is, he's kind of playing B Division Devon League
Mhm.
cricket or A Division Devon League cricket, and for him to for him to step up and play red ball cricket, take links and a couple of the high profile Berkshire guys,
Yeah.
in the top order out. That's great. And I think the nice thing for us is everybody's kind of contributed along the way at some point this year. So Craig did a real shift at Berkshire. George took 5 for Cornwall, and yeah, it's felt like a proper team effort, and we've kind of gutsed it out a little bit with everybody chipping in.
Yeah, and I think I'm looking in particular at the game that you guys won against Cornwall, where, sorry, mate, it was one of the days that you did get zero in the first innings. But
There's been many of those, mate. Don't worry.
yeah, when you look across that entire game, everyone's had a bit in it all the way through, haven't they? And that game, let's be honest, how many games start off with you both around 280, 300, pretty par, and then the scores drop down to 91 all out and 80 for four? That doesn't happen very often, does it?
No, and with the greatest respect to Cornwall, but who couldn't have done more for us. In all fairness, it was probably an unknown for us all at how is that 3 days going to go? Because I'm not sure they've hosted one before, and those people that have played at Cornwall, the slope, very pronounced slope, takes a little bit of getting used to. So I think that was always in play.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of just felt like whichever team wanted to grasp that, because it was very similar. I think we had them on the ropes early doors, first innings. They put a partnership together and got them towards something respectable, and we were the same. We were in real trouble.
Hmm.
Sam Reed produced a seriously quality knock at, I think he got 120 odds, and it's his maiden national counties 100, batting at 7. So we kind of followed a similar pattern. It's just that old third innings. They always say third innings is kind of the
Yeah.
the game decider in lots of ways, and it happened to swing that way for us, really. So bit of a wobble. I think the pitch was really starting to crumble and turn quite a lot by that point, but yeah, we managed to see it home.
Yeah, that 130 for Sam off 107 balls was the game changer without a doubt, because you guys you were in a little bit of trouble, weren't you? 75 for 4, 85 for 84 for 5. So things were starting to tip in Cornwall's favour, but when he put that innings together with, I think it was Matthew Schema, then all of a sudden you're on par and you've got a game on, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah. Look, Reedy's been um, what's the word? Been kind of threatening to do that for a while now. He's presented with his county cap actually at Hereford last week, which was long overdue and well deserved. So
Mhm.
yeah, he's a dangerous player. He can kind of come in any situation. I think he showed that. I think we were Cheshire away in the one day
Mhm.
quarter final or semi final last year, and chasing 330 down and out, and even a 75 from him, and you think, cool, he can chase pretty much anything down on his day. So for him to be able to come in and show that in the Red Bull stuff, um, and his bowling record's actually been phenomenal over the last few years. So yeah, proper kind of coming of age knock that was, and that's obviously set us on course to be where we are now.
Absolutely. The last game that you had before you approach this weekend, that draw against Herefordshire, high scoring game across the board, and you could have been more chuffed to get off that off the start with a nice ton for yourself.
Yeah, it was nice to contribute. Eastner's it's one of my favourite kind of away grounds. It's just, I don't know,
Stunning.
something about it. It's just nice, isn't it?
Stunning.
Small as a batter, you can't really moan. It's generally a good wicket, and
Mhm.
just setting and everything else is really nice. So yeah, no, it was nice to contribute, especially after potentially not doing the business in the Cornwall game. So yeah, again, totally different dynamic, wasn't it, compared to the previous round? Eastner generally, or we'd expected it to have kind of, it stays flat till about the end of day two, and towards the end of day two, it starts, the game starts
Yeah.
speeding up quite a lot.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, considering the dry weather, the gym and the ground staff did an amazing job there, because it just stayed flat pretty much, to be fair.
Yeah.
So it was hard to probably fashion a result. And Callum Harvey, again, another example of somebody contributing at a really important time, made a national counties 100 in his third game, I think it was. So yeah, again, real team effort. Fair play to Hereford. I think they had nothing to lose by having a little dip at it at one point, and
Yeah.
the name of the lad escapes me who came in to open the batting, who's a Birmingham League lad. My God, he can hit the ball a long way. So when he got going, and Taylor and Parts batted really, really well as well. Nothing's impossible at Eastner again on a small ground, which is hard to defend. So yeah, really good game of cricket. They've looked a different beast this year. They've upped their game, Hereford, a little bit. So
Yeah.
again, we felt like we haven't come out of that with an escape because we felt like we'd played some really good cricket. But
Mm.
to come away of there intact, as I say, with it in our hands is as good as we could have hoped for. I think.
Yeah, and I think that's a really nice position to be in going into that last game, looking across all of your fixtures that you've played so far. You don't look as though you've been in serious trouble along the way. You've had a wobble a couple of times, but you've been consistent, and I think that's what shows across the results and across the whole squad, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think a lot of that comes, regardless of the quality of the team that you have. I think having a settled side is really key to that because you can build a little bit of I don't even know if momentum's the word, just a little bit of togetherness, and you can build that bit where there's a little bit of fight, there's a little bit of camaraderie with the group, and ultimately then somebody good teams, somebody one or two people stick their hands up when you need them to. So yeah, that's been really helpful. As I say, even though we have been in a bit of a crisis with some seam bowling at times, we've generally stuck with those lads by and large. I think we've only made two changes potentially in the 3 rounds. And the irony is we've got to make a few more for this Sunday, I think. But yeah, no, it's been really, really encouraging, and look, those lads have got us to this position. It would be lovely to see it through.
Yeah, and I think that consistency of the squad and managing to have that team around you. You look at Berkshire for the past 5 years, that's what they've had. This year, Dorset most definitely have had that. You can see what's happened with them. It's basically the same group of lads turns up for the trophy, turns up for the T20, and much of the championship as well. And it just brings that, as you say, togetherness, and they get to know how to play with each other, don't they? They know what's happening on the pitch, and it becomes almost automatic, which I think is great in cricket, isn't it?
Yeah, you want to develop. I say it's not club cricket 'cause it's obviously the level up, but you want to develop that club cricket dynamic, I
Yeah.
suppose. So yeah, I feel like we've been able to do that. And as I say, the lads are generally in a pretty good place. And yeah, there's names we've not mentioned. Elliot Hamilton's come back into the fold this year
Yeah.
after a year out, and looked really really settled at the top of the order.
Hmm.
Um, and James as captain has probably not had the season he would have liked, but that was probably mine last year. So everybody at some point goes through a dip, and that's totally fine. And
Yeah.
that's the sign of a good team where it's someone else's turn to step up and do the business. So yeah, by and large, we're in a good spot at the moment.
And then you bring Oxfordshire down to what is always described as one of the most picturesque grounds in the country this weekend. How much do you look forward to going down and playing at Sidmouth?
Yeah, it's a nice one, Sidmouth. It's probably I'll be biased. It probably is our favourite home ground, certainly for a lot of the lads to play on.
Mhm.
I'm not sure it'd be looking as green on the outfield as it maybe or usually does at this time of year, just for the amount of lack of rain we've had. But yeah, look, it's a great spot to play. Generally, even though the wicket is a very good one, generally, I think history would say that there's tends to be quite a lot of results there. Just again with a bit of the slope and quick scoring, and the game tends to rattle on at a pace. So, that again that might suit both teams potentially going into this weekend, and yeah, all to play for. And yeah, it would be nice to do the business on in that setting on and wrap it up.
Yeah, and Oxfordshire will come to the game a little bit, potentially a little bit raw after last weekend's semi-finals of the T20, not getting through to that final there. Now, obviously, T20 and Championship cricket, you couldn't be any more far apart, but there's a lot of the same players will be turning up there, isn't there?
Yeah, and look, we know. I think we've been fortunate, if that's the word, to kind of play against Oxford quite a bit in recent times. And look, they're a quality outfit. Every team at this level is a quality outfit, and I don't think we've seen their team yet, ironically. But once we get eyes on that, we'll know what we've got to do. They've got 5 or 6 very dangerous players, and even if Wardy's not fit by the sounds of it from an injury last week, then they've still got plenty in the tank to hurt you. Max leads that team really well. He's very very competent off spinner. Tatey can score big hundreds. Hayden can do a job with bat and ball, and they've got plenty of lads who can chip in. I think they have had lads who have chipped in with hundreds as well this year, so won't be easy. And I think they did us at Abingdon in the one days earlier this year, and they'll be keen to get some revenge on us from our. I think we beat them at Banbury last game of last year as well. So yeah, will be a good fight, good compete level. But yeah, look, they're a good group of lads. Generally, we get on really well with Oxford. So yeah, let's go for it.
Absolutely. And rumor has it that if you guys don't get through to the final, you're potentially going to hang those boots and gloves and everything else up yourself. So the thought of actually getting through to the final and having one last dance that way, got to be on your mind a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, it would be nice. Yeah, I've had a lot of people ask, kind of, yeah, is it definitely the last one or not? And I think for now, I kind of have to approach it as if it is, obviously without any guarantees of getting to the final. So, um, I was saying to you off there, wasn't I? Just it felt at the end of last year it was the right time to to start winding it in, and I don't think I was one of those that wanted to cling on to your spot too long and kind of be slowly pushed out the door rather than go on your own terms, which is
Yeah.
always nice to do. So I've probably not contributed as much as I would have liked to in previous the last season or two up till now,
Hmm.
and it just felt like the right time. But yeah, no, I'll leave a tiny door open. I won't say never. I say it's been nice to rediscover a bit of form this year in the 50 over and the 3 days. So we'll see where we get to, but that's probably going to be a post season decision. But yeah, for all intents and purposes, it would be nice, and it would be kind of full circle to come get to the final and hopefully do the business in the final, and that might be a really nice place to leave it.
Well, subject to what you do this weekend, I mean, it's in your top three run scoring years in the last 10 in NCCA cricket. It could actually, with a big one, actually be one of your biggest. So whether you decided that was the last one or not, it'd be a nice way to go out either way, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah, look, yeah, it would be. I mean, look, cricket's a funny game. It will bring you back to earth very quickly, won't it? So I think the general rule is if you've scored a fair few, it probably won't let you score anymore. So I'm always kind of half glass empty that you might have had your lot this year already. So yeah, we'll see. I've had some pairs at Sidmouth. I've had some hundreds at Sidmouth. So it could be either or anything or something in between. So we'll see.
And looking across at the other division, I mean, it's just as tight over there as well, isn't it? If whether it's you guys or whether it's Oxfordshire, whoever gets through to the final from your division, currently Suffolk at the top of the other division with 51 points. They will not be there next week when we've done because Bucks, Staffordshire, and Cambridgeshire, they can all overtake them. Sorry, no, Bucks and Staffordshire can both overtake them depending on results. I mean, it couldn't get to a better end of the Red Bull season for the championship, could it?
No, no, it couldn't. And in all fairness, and I don't know, this might sound daft to somebody that's, I'll look at pretty much every score that's going, around cricketing circles, but we actually haven't paid too much attention to what's going on in the other division too much, and that that's just kind of the way it tends to go. You're so invested in your own,
Yeah.
what's going on with your own teams, you don't always pay that attention. I did see, I think Bucks and Staffs had a really, tight game thriller last week by one wicket, so. I think naturally there's Bucks are probably in the rear view wing mirror just from the championship final a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But look, we know, or certainly from a Welsh perspective, I know we know the Staffs guys pretty well, and Devon we know Bucks guys pretty well. So
Mhm.
either one of those two would represent a really big challenge for either ourselves, Oxford or Hereford, whoever gets to the final. And yeah, I think I've only played Suffolk once in 15 years in a one day cup semi final a long time ago. But yeah, look, if it's not us that doesn't get there, hopefully it is. But if it's not, I think anybody who's in the Western kind of side of it would always kind of quietly cheer for the Western Division team to go on and do the business really.
Absolutely. And just, to come to a close with that, how big would it be for Devon to make that final?
Yeah, yeah, it would be without downplaying it. I think we're a really young side. I wouldn't have been able to do the maths right now, and I'm probably bringing that average age up a fair bit. I would have thought at 33, but by and large, we've got a lot of lads under the age of kind of 25. A lot of lads Devon born and bred who even if they're not playing in Devon who have got strong natural kind of Devon affinities. So yeah, it would be a real marker for us, not necessarily as a kind of a lot of teams get to championship finals and it's kind of coming to the end of their project and it's coming to the end of their cycle, if you like. It feels like we haven't even hit our new cycle yet. So that's probably the bit that makes it more exciting. whether or not we get there or not, and whether or not we win it or not. The fact we're probably in the mix at this stage of a lot of lads' start of their national counties careers is really encouraging. So yeah, it would be great, but it could hopefully mark the start of it not being a one-off, and we can start featuring there a little bit more often.
As you say, you're one of the more experienced players around the group there, but that's something that we are seeing even more so now around the NCCA. These groups are getting younger and younger and younger, and Dorset have shown that this year. You guys have got a relatively new group coming through. Berkshire even have got quite a lot of new faces coming through. How excited from an overall national counties perspective do you find that?
Yeah. Look, exciting. It shows the depth of quality across this level of cricket, and I think in all fairness, generally speaking, as I said, you get teams that go through 2 to 3 years, 4 years even of maybe struggling because some of those proper young lads are discovering and finding their level. I think the really good teams find a way to still be competitive whilst doing that at the same time.
Yeah,
But generally, as I say, most counties you'll work towards having a window where you think, what, there's a 4 to 5 year period here where we could be really successful. So, um, yeah, I think a lot of counties find themselves in that boat. As you said, Dorset have had a phenomenal year. Yeah, they've absolutely smashed it, haven't they? So, um, yeah, to see the level being this good at the younger ages is great. And yeah, that's the other bit. Hopefully, at least for another game or two, there's room for some old timer blocking the granny out of it, trying to bat 90 overs. So yeah, we'll see.
hey, and it'd be remiss of me not to bring up Cricket Wales and your job there coaching. And let's be brutal about it. The success of some of these young players going through into the Metro Bank. Romano Franco, I think, played for Glamorgan. Tom Norton played the other day for his first game for Glamorgan. And then, Callum Nichols has just been absolutely tearing it up in the twos the last couple of weeks as well. How, to see these youngsters that you've been around now for a number of years from a coaching perspective progressing, how big's that?
Yeah. Look, really, really pleasing, and those guys thoroughly deserve it. And there are more in that bracket. To be fair, I think I was just saying a minute ago, wasn't I, about putting a settled team out? That's something we've really struggled to do from a Welsh perspective, just with the amount of the closeness with Glamorgan, the amount that players are in demand, in 3 or 4 different directions. It's been nigh on impossible to put consistent teams together, which is a real frustration from a Wales national counties in terms of us wanting to be competitive on the field, which we haven't been as much as we'd like to. So I think the success for us is defined in a slightly different way, and as you say, kind of seeing some of those guys kick on is that success looks a little bit different for us, I think, than it would do for a few other counties. So we've got to get back to trying to bring in a crop of players that maybe aren't going to
Yeah.
move up to that level, that are going to be regular, but obviously there's always a place for those types of lads that are going to use that as a springboard. So yeah, that's our challenge.
But it does look like, and it's a great way to close, isn't it? Because we've been talking about this on our own shows for weeks now. It's almost a standout year for the NCCA when you see the amount of players across the nation who've literally taken that step from Premier League, national counties, and up into the Metro Bank and further beyond. I, I think we're up to about a dozen now in total, maybe not all with contracts, but it just seems to be that the counties are now looking down and going, hang on a minute, there is some absolute top quality down there, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. And without going off on a tangent around 100 and the impacts on Metro Bank, whether or not those opportunities would have arisen, given the landscape of the pro game, I don't know. But I think, as you say, the nice thing is not just that lads are getting the opportunity; it's the fact when they get that opportunity, they're actually standing up. At I think Rory Hayden from Staffs, he's got off to a fly with Derbyshire, isn't he?
Yeah,
And there'll be others as well. So it's really good to see, as I say, lads getting that chance, but then also actually hitting the ground running and doing really well and showing that they're not just an emergency call in. They're actually there and they deserve to be there for the long term. So yeah, long may that continue.
absolutely. Hey, great talking, Matt. Good luck this weekend at Sidmouth. Fingers crossed for the weather. I know the forecast looks a bit sort of all over the place around the country at the weekend, but fingers crossed you get the weather and you guys hit the ground running with Devon, and maybe we'll see you at West Brom for the final. Maybe we won't.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for all the support and the coverage over the season. Yeah, let's see where the weekend goes.
Absolute pleasure. All the best, mate.
Take care, bud.
Cheers.